बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। उकारस्कन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। After having praised and glorified the Vidya from verses 1 to 3 as something very special, something which is a real secret. Why is it a secret? Because it is so precious. That's why it's a secret. Anything that is precious is kept hidden. It is not available for everyone. It is available only to those who can understand, to those who can enjoy, to those who can get the best of it. So, it is something which is extremely valuable. And it is, in fact, this Vidya is very valuable. Why? Knowing which there is nothing more to be known. Nothing more to be known. Pursuing which all the other pursuits come to an end. That doesn't mean you'll be sitting like a blob at home or in an ashram. That's not the idea. Meaning, there is a permanent severance, cut between the pursuit of something and then the production of happiness. That is what has changed. There is a cut. The cords that are there, the invisible but habitual cords that are there between the doing and the producing of happiness as karma phala. The karma which is giving rise to karma phala, the karta who is fast becoming a bhokta, that cord is cut. So you can do many more things than you did now before. You can do them happily. Happily you do them, and instead of doing them for the sake of happiness, for the sake of security, for the sake of feeling good, for the sake of feeling safe. Before, all the doings were for these kinds of sake. Before, I will do something in order to get some validation. At least a few people should look and say, oh, clap, clap, talia, how wonderful. Some people should approve. Somebody should say, you are okay. That's why I would do the things when? Prior to Atmajnana. This is how it is. As the clarity grows more and more, there is no need to prove anything to anybody. So the dysfunctional doing in order to get a few scraps of approval reduces drastically. Why? Because the fruit, the gift of Atmajnanam is filling up oneself with self-approval. Why? It's not that Atmajnanam gives self-approval. It removes self-disapproval and shows that the self is eminently approvable. It's already lovable. I don't need to be loved because I am love incarnate. And I don't need to be validated because I am already approvable. I don't need 10 people or 5 people to tell me I am okay because the self is already okay, and a known self, a self that is known, is naturally going to make me understand that I am okay. Because I know the self which happens to be okay. In fact, the self is not just approvable, it is the approver of the whole universe. You see, it is the headstand from before. Before, I thought nothing is approvable. I am not approvable. And the Jagat, of course, is terrible because this person is like that thing is like this. And look at the justice system, look at all the cases clogged in the court, look at the environment, look at the climate, look at how people behave, look at racial injustice, look at all these problems. This is how I was before. Everything in the Jagat had a smarting, thorny presence in my life. This was the vein of my existence. No self-approval, no approval of the Jagat either. And then I went about in a frenzied way, trying to correct myself and trying to make myself approvable and trying to make the Jagat okay. All my activities were centered on this prior to Guru, Jnanam, Ashram, Shastra, Upanishad exposure. With the committed exposure, suddenly I understand what? Not only is the self okay, the Jagat also is okay. What do you mean the Jagat is okay? How can the Jagat be okay? Because it is what it is. Oh, that means I should just sit down and not do anything? Nobody said that. You do what you can. No, but I can't seem to change anything. Aha. Okay, then when you can't change, that means it is Bhagavan. Whatever you cannot change is Bhagavan because what is Bhagavan. What is like this because it is Bhagavan. Certain things right now you cannot change. Maybe 2 minutes from now things would be different. 10 minutes from now things would be different. 10 years from now things would be different. 100 years from now things would be different. Right now, this is the best you can do. This is the best you can do. You can pray, you can act in other ways. But what is Bhagavan. So you respect what is in the beginning and then understand that right now I do not have a say over this particular aspect. And even within oneself, there are so many things about the personality and so many things that need to be first accepted before they can be remedied. And therefore, the understanding of Bhagavan as that which is, what is Bhagavan. That's why if you spell Ishvara in English, what are the first 2 letters? Is. See, that proves it. What is Bhagavan. And that is further resolved into I. That is nothing but myself alone. So it's not that the actions drop, only though with the rise of clarity, it's not that the actions drop, only those actions which were dysfunctionally connected to seeking security, seeking approval, trying to fix myself, trying to fix somebody else, trying to fix the Jagat, those actions reduce. So instead of doing something in order to be approvable, in order to be validated, in order to be okay, in order to be happy, I do things for, because I am happy. I happily do things. That means I am more objective, more secure. This is what knowing the nature of Bhagavan as the truth of myself gives, which is why this chapter is very, very important. So we saw that the verses 1 to 3 glorified this knowledge as something which is very, very, very important, hidden, not properly understood, needing to be properly assimilated before we go any further. Because the glorification of the knowledge is needed. Why? Shrotra buddhi prarochanartham. Prarochana means to stimulate. So the first three verses are appetizer. So appetizer should not make you full. That's why they are small. So you will have a toothpick. They are served at the end of a toothpick. You will have a toothpick with one small piece of pineapple, and then what else shall we put at the end of it? And one cube of paneer. Alright. And then this will be and the paneer is not just from the shop. It is nicely roasted or done something sauteed with some masala and all this. And then what happens? Then when you eat this thing at the end of the toothpick, what do you want? More. Not more of the same thing. Let's see what's next. Let's see what's after that. And then so, because appetizer doesn't mean it will be given in a huge plate. That just defeats the whole purpose. So therefore, we have our toothpick, what should I say, palate, that which whets the palate in verses 1 to 3. Then as we saw last night, verses 4 and 5 are just the most beautiful verses in the entire Bhagavad Gita and convey the essence of the Upanishads. First the Lord says, by me the entire world is pervaded, maya tatamidam sarvam. And who is this me? Avyakta murtina, that which cannot, whose form is formlessness, whose form is no form, whose form is all forms, but yet no forms, no specific forms, whose form supports all forms without having any particular form by itself. And so, and then all beings are in me. Where else will they go? They are all in me alone. But I am not in any one of them. Beings draw their existence from me, but I do not draw my existence from them. Otherwise it would be mutual codependency. And this is what it is in families. So one relies on the other. And so that is how that is what family life is all about. One relies on the other, and then what does the other one do? The other one doesn't stand like a rock. The other one also relies on A relies on B, B relies on A. These are the parents. And then A and B rely on C and D. Okay? A and B rely on C and D. Who are C and D? Children. Okay? And C and D rely on A and B, and it's a whole codependent mess. In the Shastra, it is called Anyonya Ashraya, the fallacy of mutual codependence. We rely on Bhagavan because we need to feel good. In the morning, we need to feel good. We need to start the day nicely. So therefore, the temple is inviting. Very nice. You want a place to go and just put the head down and give all your troubles. And if Bhagavan says, I'm so glad you have come, I've had a horrible day, let me tell you about the day. And then what, the temple starts to look less and less inviting. In fact, as you are approaching the temple, you will just take a different route and just avoid it because you don't have the time to listen to one more person's complaints and problems. So therefore, this mutual dependency doesn't work. So the Jagat's connection to Bhagavan is a one-sided connection. Jagat totally relies on Bhagavan. No Bhagavan, no Jagat. But then Bhagavan doesn't rely on the Jagat. No Jagat, but yes Bhagavan. This is what we saw. And then in the very next verse, we also saw that Lord Krishna dismisses the expression Vatsthani Sarvabhutani. Vatsthani Sarvabhutani, all beings are in me. No, they are not. Then why did you say they were? That is from a particular standpoint, that is not the whole truth and the whole reality. From a particular standpoint, from the standpoint of beings, they have no other ashraya but me. From the standpoint of myself alone, I am not connected to the beings. Nacha matsthani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram. Look at this funny, magical connection I have to the universe. What is your connection to the universe, O Bhagavan? If we were to ask, the Lord would say, there is absolutely no connection at all. Oh, but I feel connected to you, yes. You feel connected to me, but really from my standpoint, you are nothing but me. So if you are nothing other than me, where is the connection? Connection means two separate things. Two separate things connected by a thread or connected by a relationship. The Jiva, from the Jiva standpoint, Bhagavan is the creator. Bhagavan is the cause of the Jagat. Bhagavan is the sustainer. Bhagavan is where everything goes. Praliyante. We saw this also in the previous chapter. Avyakta vyaktayas sarvaha prabhavantyharagame pratyagame praliyante. And so this is we saw that in the 8th chapter also. So the whole thing from unmanifest to manifest. But that which is manifest, namely the Jagat, does not really make that, make the Ishvara change. There is no change at all. Like even how can we assimilate this dream experience? That is why the Mandukya Upanishad Karika is very, very helpful here. The dream experience. So you have a dream, and then let's say it was a nightmarish dream. You could not wait for it to be over, but it went on and on and on. It had part 1, part 2, part 3, each one scarier than the last. So many people were after you, and some of them had dandas. Dandas means what? Sticks to beat. Why? Because in the beginning of the course you carried the sticks for the monkeys. So that stick you remembered, and then it came back in the dream. So the lots of sticks were there in the dream, and then people were carrying the sticks and were after you, and you were running, they were outrunning you. All this is a terrible, horrible dream. Can't wait to wake up from this dream. And then they started to beat you also in the dream. Then when you awoke, do you have black and blue marks on your back?
No.
No, not at all. Why? That was then, this is now. That reality has nothing to do with this reality. Why? Because that time you were asleep, you were half asleep, because that is what dream is, Ardha Vikasa. Now you are awake. The waking state and the dream state have nothing to do with one another. In fact, it is just a projection. So similarly, waking up to the truth of yourself as neither karta nor the bhokta of any beatings. You are awake now. The beatings do not matter at all. So, beatings what? Karma prahar. The beatings of karma. That's why I use the example of beatings. The beatings of karma do not affect you. They may affect the body, which is again subject to the three gunas, subject to maya, subject to karma. The body is a creation, mind is a creation, senses are a creation, but I am not a creation. I am Ishvara. I here means sentient consciousness, Satchidananda Chaitanyam. This Chaitanyam, this which is Brahman, which is Atma, this Brahmatma, I am. And so, just like the dream reality has nothing to do with the waking reality, so Ishvara may create so many things, may project so many universes, parallel universes, so many things. But then what? Just like a dream, they come into being, they are sustained in their own time, and then they collapse into Ishvara. But then from the standpoint of Ishvara, Ishvara does not say that, just like you don't say that the dream is in me always. The dream is not a permanent fixture. It comes, it goes. Yes, you sustain the dream. The dream is happening because of consciousness. But the consciousness is not affected by the dream. Just like when the waker wakes up, there are no beating marks, there are no stick marks, there are no bruises on the back. Even though one suffered a terrible beating in the dream, but that has nothing to do with this reality. So the two realities are juxtaposed side by side in verses 4 and 5, which is very, very important and very, there is a need to understand this properly. And what are the two realities? Satyam and Mithya. So from the standpoint of Mithya alone, we account for the Jagat. Account means there are things to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100, lakhs, thousands, billions, trillions, all this is happening on one order of reality, which is totally and completely dependent upon for its existence on another order of reality. That is nothing, there is nothing to count. Even one is not there, how are you going to count? It simply is. One means it becomes a member of a sect. Salakshanyam will be bringing. One is a member of a sect, that's why you say half. You can say 1/4. You can keep on infinitely fracturing and fractioning this one. But here, there is no one. One intended. What is there? There is that Advaya. So we do use the word one, Ekam, but then immediately we say Advayam. Ekameva Advayam. Then of course, when you say Advayam, it's not one, it is the only thing there is. An only thing that is worth being called a thing. Vastu means thing. It's the only thing. So from the standpoint of this reality, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, limitless, in the form of sentient consciousness, that is at once existent. And that which is existent is conscious. It's not a dead existent. It's not dead and existent. It is alive, it is sentient. And when you say sentient, you are bringing yourself in. Why? Are you sentient or not?
Yes.
Don't scare me. Okay? Yeah. Yes, you are. Because the fact that you know that you are means you are sentient. Sentient means I am aware of myself. Everything becomes evident to me. I am a self-conscious, self-aware, self-lit, self-effulgent, self-evident I, to which everything else becomes evident, and I am evident to myself already. So when you talk about the Lakshana, the Swarupa Lakshana of Bhagavan, what is the Swarupa Lakshana of Bhagavan? Satyam, existent. Jnanam, conscious, awareness. Anantam, that which is limitless existence and limitless consciousness. When you talk about that, you cannot talk about Ishvara's Lakshana, the indicatory words that describe Ishvara, that define Ishvara, cannot be talked about without bringing in the Jiva. So evidently, each time you talk about Ishvara, it is a Mahavakya because the Jiva has to be brought in. The jaded, faded Jiva has to be dragged in unwillingly even at first. How? Because the word Jnanam or Chit brings in the Jiva. What is the Jiva? If you shake out, like if you harvest the potatoes, what are you harvesting? Potatoes and earth, the dirt, both come together. Then on the side you have to beat the potatoes on the ground to dislodge the dirt, to dislodge the non-potato. Potato is there and then non-potato is there. To dislodge the non-potato, you have to beat it on the ground. So little earthworms run away and then no, they crawl away. They don't run. And then what else? Then we have the dirt loosening, and maybe there is roots of some other plant that also loosens. And then after a few rounds of this, then you have potato. So similarly, the jiva is shaken. What falls? Body. We see, the jiva is satyam jnanam anantam, and the non-satyam jnanam anantam's elements fall off. Inert. Body is existent but in time. That falls off. Mind falls off. Senses fall off. Karta, bhakta, notions fall off. What is there? Sentient consciousness. That is the potato. Okay? That is potato sthaniya. That is what it is. Sentient consciousness alone is there. And that sentient consciousness is Bhagavan. There is no other Bhagavan. There is no other Bhagavan than you. And so this is what has to be understood. Oh, but what about the body, the mind? That also has a certain reality. And what is that reality? Dependent upon this reality. Dependent on this Swarupa. All the whole Jagat is Mithya because it is dependent upon Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So these three words, this which is the Swarupa Lakshana, the nature of Ishvara, which describe the nature of Ishvara, then the whole Jagat draws and is sustained by these three words. Jagat is nothing but Sat, as though projection of the Sat, and it is nothing but Chit, as though projection of this Chit. Oh, but the rock is not sentient. Rock is not sentient. True. Why? Because there is a different reason. It does not have subtle body. What is subtle body? Sukshma Sharira. Rock is not away from sentience, but the poor rock cannot say I am a rock because it doesn't have the equipment to be self-aware, which is what is the gift of the subtle body in the form of mind, senses, etc. And so that being absent, the rock which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam cannot advertise itself, whereas certain other beings in the universe, they can say, I am so and so, there is awareness. Dog has certain awareness, cat has certain awareness, but in the human being, the awareness is totally, fully, completely uninhibited. Uninhibited awareness, uninhibited sentience, uninhibited existence. And so therefore, these two orders of reality have to be totally understood, fully understood. One is an as though projection, and that projection is also Satyam Jnanam Anantam, is also Satchidananda. But what kind of Satchidananda? Borrowed Satchidananda. Remember the story of the crow attending the peacock convention. What did the crow do? Borrowed the peacock feathers, passed off as the peacock. They just strutted around and danced. Then what happened? The feathers fell off. When the feathers fell off, it was booted out of the peacock convention. This is exactly what happens. The Satchidananda never falls off. This is the saving grace for us. So the body is Satchidananda. Satchidananda is not the body. Body is Ishvara. Ishvara is not the body. Mind is Ishvara. Ishvara is not the mind. Senses are Ishvara. Ishvara is not the senses. Karta derives its existence and the Ahankara struts around as the Karta because of Ishvara. Karta is Ishvara. Ishvara is not Karta. Bhokta, of course, is nothing other than Ishvara. Ishvara is not Bhokta. The status of Karta, Bhokta derive from Ishvara alone, draw their existence from Ishvara, but Ishvara, in order to be everything, cannot be any one thing. This is what we have to understand. Then, if we have understood this, one more thing that is left to understand is the cause-effect connection. From the standpoint of the Jagat, we say it is Karya. Karya means what? Cake.
Effect.
No.
Effect.
What does it mean? Effect. Karya, effect. Karana, cause. Karana, cause. Karya, because. Okay? Because of the cause, that which is there is called Karya. So this is a very important pedagogical prakriya. This is a very important methodology. Karya Karana Prakriya. And how does the prakriya go? Very, very interesting. That which we call Karya is never away from Karana. Karana Gunaha Karyeshu Vartante. Vartante in here. In here means not in here. They are not two words. Inherent in here. Okay? So, the attributes, again I have to do this like this because the cause is totally attributeless. Let us say the lakshana, the indicators of that which is the cause, the definition of the cause inheres the effect. Just like a child looks like its parents. Even though it's convinced, I must be adopted, they don't really like me. It must be convinced sometimes. But it still looks like the parents. Why? The DNA of the cause is there palpably in the effect. That's why you can do paternity test and all to see that. Who is the father to ascertain, you can do the paternity test. Why? Because the qualities of the cause inhere the effect. Similarly here when we say Brahman is Satchidananda, and when we understand Brahman, not now from Swarupa Lakshana, we are going to what? Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means understanding Brahman as from the standpoint, and it is indeed just a standpoint of the cause or the causality of the universe. So when we understand Brahman from the standpoint of the cause, then we have a very interesting scenario. The effect is nothing but cause. Cause is Satchidananda plus Shakti plus Goddess. And that Goddess has the magic of creating the raw materials and stuffing them with Satchidananda. That is what has though. So this Shakti has that transformative power. That's why Shakti cannot be toyed with. Shakti is very important. We all saw what the Ganga did to the lovely, what is that? The red stones, what are they called? You know, the little walking places. Ghats. We saw what the Shakti of the river did. Eroded everything. Just in a matter of 1 month. Perhaps she did it in a day and we didn't know because it was all covered by water. Amazing. So Shakti cannot be toyed with, and we'll hear more of this in the coming verses. Very fantastic verses. This whole section is just, I don't know how much we bow our heads to this knowledge. It's not enough. It's just so precious. And so here, so we have seen from Satchidananda's standpoint, now that Satchidananda has been gifted with a crown. Satchidananda wearing a crown is called Bhagavan, Bhagavati combined. That's why we have Ardhanarishwara, they can never be separated. Vagartha viva sampriktau, Vagartha pratipattaye, Jagatah pitarau vande. Parvati Parameshwarau. This is the invocatory verse of the poet par excellence, who? Kalidasa, writing the Raghuvamsha. Vag and Artha. Vak means the word, speech and its meaning. Just like you cannot separate, even if you try really hard, the word and its meaning. So supposing I say pot, and I encourage you, please think of a donkey, okay? Whenever I say pot, you will not be able to oblige. Please do not think of pot. I'm going to say now pot. Did donkey vritti come? No. Pot vritti only will come. This is the magic connection, the magical connection of word with its assigned meaning that is always there in the mind. So just like the word and meaning cannot be separated, Ishvara and Ishvari, Parameshvara and Parameshwari cannot be separated. The two are one. Nothing is lower, nothing is higher, they are just one. From the standpoint of the manifest universe, since we talk of a creative principle and the creation is associated with Shakti, with the feminine principle, we say, we code it as feminine. That's all. No other reason. And so from the standpoint of now looking at the universe from causality, then this Satchidananda as though becomes a cause. It doesn't always become a cause. As though causality is imbued to this Satchidananda because of the presence of Maya Shakti, and because of the presence of Maya Shakti, this as though causality, what does it do? It projects the universe effortlessly and with total ease, just like you project your own dream. The ingredients of your dream in the night are what? Memory and desire. Memory and desire. You want something and that comes in the dream. You remembered something, that also comes in the dream. And similarly, on the macro scale, also for Ishvara, the ingredients for the Jagat are a memory. Memory means what? Jnanam. Jnanam of what? Of the previous cycle of creation. We don't have a linear Jagat. Jagat and then some apocalypse. How do you say that? Apocalypse? Am I saying it properly? Yeah. Apocalypse means some terrible end along with judgment day. God loves you, but be careful. This is a certain theology. We don't subscribe to that. We have a cyclical cycles of creation followed by, we saw that in the 8th chapter, 1000 Mahayugas, which is 4 billion, 3,200,000 and some odd years, 3,200 years. After that, there is Pralaya. Liquidated. The company is liquidated. Finished. Without a trace. Nothing is left. So, this is what we say. And so therefore, when we understand this causality, we have to see that causality as an as though power. Because the Shakti is never away from Ishvara. In fact, it's the Shakti that transforms, as it were, Brahman into Ishvara. And this Shakti projects the universe based on what? Memory, the knowledge of the previous cycle of creation, and desire. What is the desire? Bahusyam praja gegeti. So kamayat, that kama is there. The kamayatritvam does not belong to Ishvara. Who does it belong to? Jivas, who are as yet non-separate from Ishvara. But they are in a way separated, because when Shakti has come, that separation has already started. This is the ball of so-called separation has been set rolling, and the discontent of the Jivas comes out first. I have all these desires, no body. I am a nobody, I have no body. Because If you have desires and no body, that's the saddest thing. Because without body, how will you fulfill the desires? The body is a bhoga yatana. Until and unless you realize, you understand that it is yoga yatana. It's a vehicle for yoga, it's a vehicle for moksha. Moksha yatana, that is what the mumukshu, the jignasu has to understand. But first it is bhoga yatana. How can I have some comfort based on this body? How can I find some comfortable situations? Whatever makes the body feel good, whatever makes the mind feel good, whatever makes the senses feel good, I am drawn to that. And even though I am in an unmanifest form as a jiva, the desires don't come to an end. We saw that in the last chapter. Bhutagrama sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. This whole host of jivas are created based on the desires and liquefied again at the end of the kalpa. And here also the same thing is going to be repeated. Kalpakshaye punastani kalpadav visrijamyaham. Which verse is that?
Seventh.
Seventh verse. We'll see that. So this is how the creation, so to speak, will be more of a manifestation than a creation. Manifest and demanifest comes into play. And then from this standpoint, we see that the Satchidananda is never lost. The Satchidananda is Karya. Karya is not separate from Karana, because Karana is Satchidananda. Karya is also what? Satchidananda alone, not separate from Satchidananda. And if Karya is not separate from Satchidananda, why are we counting the Karya separately? Correct? Let us just accept the crow as a differently abled peacock. Okay? Let us just say that okay, it is a funny looking peacock, but nonetheless it's a peacock. So like that, the Jagat is nothing. Jagat doesn't look like Satchidananda because Satchidananda free of form, Jagat full of form. Satchidananda untainted by anything, Jagat full of problems, Satchidananda infallible, Jagat fallible, even though it has nothing to do with one another, but because the Jagat is Satchidananda, so the Karya resolves into the Karana. Swaha. You swallow up the Karya. Why? Because it's one and the same. Why am I counting it separately? It is one and the same. So what is left now? Karya, Swaha. What is left? Karana. A Karana without a Karya, can it be called Karana?
No.
This is now very close to a Buddhist kovan. This, I have a slight envy for Zen masters, because you know what they do? You go to study with a Zen master, instead of you asking the question, they will ask one question and then say Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, or whatever version of that they have, and they will go away, leaving you to do all the work. Vedanta teacher, by contrast, has to do all the work in our tradition, and thank God for that. That was just a joke. Thank God, because this is why we have a parampara, this is why we have clarity. These kovans are like that. The teacher asks the student, what are you holding in your right hand? The teacher asks. The student says, a lamp, master. Drop it. Student obediently drops the lamp. What are you holding in your left hand? O Shishya, asks the teacher. O master, nothing. And what does the teacher say? Drop it. If I am holding nothing, how to drop it? And the student goes away and then comes back with a few grey hairs afterwards. That long one has to contemplate. And in fact, even in the Upanishads for us, it is like that. Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva. Tapasa means contemplation. Nididhyasana. Do some nididhyasana, do some enquiry. Brahma Vijijñāsasva. Bhrigu is told. Bhrigu, the son of Varuna, goes to the father. Bhrigurvai Varunihi Varunam Pitaramupasasara Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tasma Etat Provacha. Very little is taught. Bhrigu goes, Upasasara, I love this word, approached the father, requesting him to be teacher. Don't be daddy now, be guru. Teach me Bhagavan. Adhihi. Adhihi means Madartham Smara. For my sake, remember how you were taught by your guru. Remember the prakriya. Remember everything and teach me. And then the teacher says all these things. The teacher just says that which is Brahman is that because of which all beings come to being, because of which all beings are sustained, because of which all beings enter into which Satchidananda, that is Brahman. And this has to be understood through intense enquiry. Yato va imani bhutani jayante. Yataha yasmat karanat. Because of which cause all these beings come into being. Yena jatani jivanti. Because of which everything is sustained. Yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. That which enter into which and become one with which. Tat brahma iti. Tat vijijñāsasva. Tapasa brahma vijijñāsasva iti. Varuna goes away. And then what does Bhrigu do? Must not have had his food. So he sits in meditation and kind of a self-enquiry meditation, and he starts to think. Yato va imani bhutani jayante. Because of everything or something, everybody is born. It is food. It is definitely food. Because of food, I am born. My parents ate food. That is why I have a body. There, the food eaten by them sustained my body. That's why I am born. And then, and if I don't eat food, I will be very weak. I will not be able to move around. By food I am sustained. And then at the end of the life, what happens? Then the body is burnt or buried. And then what happens? It nourishes the body of the ancestors, nourishes the soil, and then we have brinjal growing. One might be eating one's ancestors. Might be what? Definitely eating one's ancestors. And then so then everything goes back to food. Food. Brahman is food. He rushes back to the father. Punareva pitaram upasasara annam brahmeti vyajana. And then what does the father? The father doesn't spend a lot of time. The teacher doesn't spend a lot of time. He just says, wrong, go back, think some more. Why? Adhikaritvam was there. Adhikaritvam was there. That's why Uttama Adhikaris, the highly prepared Adhikaris are where? In the pages of the Upanishad. To inspire all of us. So otherwise this kind of a small kovans and all will not work with Madhyama Adhikaris. Certainly not with Manda Adhikaris also. And so therefore here everything has to be fully taught until it is understood. So the karya is swallowed up. And why is the karya swallowed up? The karya is deemed to be mithya. It is swallowed up for many reasons. One, it cannot exist without karana. That's why what is the use of counting it separately? And then it is the same as the Karana. Satchidananda is Karana. What is Karya? Satchidananda. Satyam Jnanam Anantam is when you remove all the removables, when you remove all the perishables, what is there is imperishable Brahman alone. So why count the Karya separate? Third is, it is a dependent reality, it is Mithya. So then, first you say Karya Karana because it is perceptible reality. And then you say the Karya is non-separate from the Karana. Like tree and seed, fabric and then shirt. Shirt is effect, fabric is cause. Is there any separation? No. If you say yes, then please see me after class. We'll have to have a longer conversation about this. So there is no separation. Fabric and shirt, one and the same thing. Shirt is not separate from fabric, but fabric is separate from shirt. Here, the Karya is not separate from Karana. Jagat is not separate from Brahman. Brahman has nothing to do, Brahman, Ishvara has nothing to do with the Jagat. So first you say, swallow up the Karya resolves into the Karana. The Karana is irresolute, does not resolve, but then it is sitting there wearing a crown when there is no kingdom to rule over. First we put the crown on Satchidanandam Brahma and invoke it as Jagataf Pita, Jagan Mata, the parents of the universe. And then what? Now the universe itself has a iffy existence and the universe resolves into the cause, and when there is no because, can the cause still be called cause? It can, but what is the use, really? So then the Tatastha Lakshana is therefore the definition of Brahman that comes and goes. The causality is ascribed to Brahman, which is absolutely free from causality. And the status of effect is ascribed to Brahman, which is free of effect. Brahman is free of both cause and effect. Effect is not free of Brahman. Causality is dependent upon Brahman. Effect is dependent upon Brahman. Brahman is free of both. Then, when you say Brahman is free of both, what are we looking at? Swarupa Lakshana. So, Ishvaratvam Mithya. You don't say Ishvara is Mithya. Ishvara is Brahman. Ishvaratvam, the status of being Ishvara, Ishvarahood, that is ascribed to Brahman as the cause of the universe, Mithya. Jivatvam. Jivatvam means Ishvara with a lot of complaints, that is ascribed to this separate entity. Why me? Why not them? Always I am being blamed. Why this? This is the person. So, Jivatvam is Mithya. Jiva is not Mithya, Jiva is Ishvara. Ishvaratvam Mithya. Jivatvam Mithya. So, what is Satyam? Satyam Jnanam Anantam alone. Just amazing. Really amazing. How wonderful this is. Absolutely wonderful. And then, equipped with this information, we can go to the next verse, I hope. Okay? In the next verse, a helpful example is given to assimilate all that we have seen. Yathakashasthito nityam.
Yathakashasthito nityam.
Ayus sarvatra go mahan.
Ayus sarvatra go mahan.
Tatha sarvani bhutani.
Tatha sarvani bhutani.
Matsthanithyupadharaya.
Matsthanithyupadharaya.
Iti upadharaya. Upadharaya means please ascertain in this manner. Iti means in this manner. Iti, hey Arjuna, that is not said, we have to understand. Upadharaya, please ascertain. Make this nishchaya. Understand it in this way, in this manner as I am telling you. In what matter? In what manner? In the manner of this example which is being presented. In the example, there are two elements of the Panchabhutas. Two elements are taken. What are they? Space, Akasha. And what is the other element? Vayu, Mahan Vayu, the great Vayu. Okay? So, Yatha, in which manner? Yatha, Akasha Sthitaha Nityam. What is the Akasha? Sthitaha. It's in one place, which means every place. In which place it is not. So Akasha is Sthitaha and Nityaha. Always in one place. Unmoving Akasha. In fact, Adi Shankara in the Taittiriya Upanishad describes Akasha as what? Avakasha Pradatra Akasha. Avakasha Pradata, that which accommodates, is called space. That which accommodates. It accommodates everything. And it accommodates what? Vayu also. So the Akasha is just itself, it is just Sthitaha. It simply abides. And what does the Vayu do? Goes all over the place. Akasha stationary, Vayu not stationary. That's why it's called Anilaha. The Nilayati does not remain in one place. In fact, that's the definition of Vayu. Does not remain in one place. So Vayu is Sarvatra Gaha. Sarvatra Gacchati iti Sarvatra Gaha. We can shorten this like this. That's how we make new words in Sanskrit. Gacchati iti Gaha. And then Nagacchati iti Agaha. Very nice. Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Maharnisham. And people don't know this. People think, what is this Gajanana and Agajanana? And then they will make up some meaning. Yes, he is Gajanana. He, from the standpoint of form. From the standpoint of form, yes, he is not Gajanana. Agajanana. All rubbish. Okay. Agajanana. Aga. Nagacchati. Who is Aga? Himavan, the father of Parvati. Agaja. You know, Agad Jayate iti Agaja. Jaha Jayate. So Agad Jayate, that which is born of Aga. Parvati. Agajayaha Ananam. Agajananam, the face of Parvati. Why are we talking of face of Parvati? We are talking of the face of Parvati to describe Ganesha. Agajayaha Ananasya Padmam, you know, so Ananasya Padmam Iva Padmam. What is her face like? It's like a lotus. Just like the lotus opens in the sun, in the sunlight, what is the sunlight for Parvati's face? Ganesha coming in front. That is the Arka, the sun. So that is the name for Ganesha. Look at this compound. Beautiful. So Gacchati iti Gaha. So Khe Gacchati, that which goes in space, Khagaha. Sarvatra Gacchati, Sarvatra Gaha. Goes everywhere. Vayu goes everywhere. Space is in one place. One space. One space. Vayu is all roaming everywhere. Tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani. So when I say matsthani, you have to understand it like I am the space. The Jagat is Vayu. How? We'll find out in the afternoon class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।